let's start with this iPhone number and guidance for the forward-looking quarter. It was a little bit light on guidance and a little bit light on that iPhone number, but you still say this is a beat.
It's a great quarter, and that's typical for Apple to be a little bit conservative on the guide, leave room for them to beat when it gets to be time for reporting ultimately. And in this macroeconomic environment, you'd want them to be conservative. But if you peel back the numbers and you look at what's going on in China, doubling, look at North America, where everybody was concerned there were problems, up 10% and increasing as a percentage contribution of sales. Look at the gross margin number, the ASPs on the phones going up still. A lot of really good news in this report that I think is really contrary to a lot of concerns coming in.
Now, Horace, let's dig into China specifically. Tim Cook just saying on the call, Apple is on track to hit 40 stores in China in the middle of 2016. They're continuing to invest heavily there. There had been concerns about the broader health of the Chinese economy. Does this, put some of those concerns to rest?
Well, I would say doubling year on year into not just a macro climate, but also we're looking at a declining or unfavorable headwinds, as they call them, in terms of the exchange to the dollar, and so we're seeing a phenomenal story here on China. Let's not also forget 120% growth in terms of stores, Apple's iTunes and App Store revenues in China, which means that it's not just the phone, it's content as well that's doing really well there.
We're looking at photos of Tim Cook in China just last week. He was hiking along the Great Wall. He was posing at stores in Dalian. Obviously, it's a hugely important market for Apple. I want to talk a little bit more about the watch. They did say, Luca Maestri told me the watch sales are up sequentially, Alex, which I guess you would hope, right? But he said, we left the June quarter with 700 points of sale around the world, 700 places where they sell the Apple Watch. We've exited September with almost 5,000 locations. What do you think? What can you glean about how well the watch is actually doing?
Well, I would say first and foremost, the Apple marketing machine is still in full force here. The Apple Watch is not the center of this story right now. The Apple Watch needs to evolve. The battery life needs to go up. The apps need to become more stable. There's a long way to go on that front, but still, Apple's going to polish that up as much as they can. It's really still all about the iPhones. And if you look at the revenue for the iPhones, up almost 40% year over year. Are you kidding me? The world's largest company, growing revenues. Samsung is an absolute train wreck right now. China, whether or not Apple is slowing there, it's having some issues that Apple is not sharing, and that's because it's delivering the world's greatest smartphone experience.
I come back, though, to this question. Is Apple over-dependent on the iPhone? If you look at iPad sales, they slowed down again. Luca Maestri telling me the replacement cycles for the iPad were probably longer than people were anticipating in the beginning. People are using the iPad longer, they're upgrading less frequently, and we're seeing some level of cannibalization with the rest of our product portfolio. Horace, he said, look, this is something they've seen before. They're not worried about it. But are you worried about it? Are you worried that this company is focusing and relying too heavily on the iPhone?
Look, I mean, we can't play this game that, what are we fine to worry about next? The fact is that the iPhone's a tremendous success story, and every other product would be anyone else's dream. Let's talk about iPad for a minute. Although it has been declining for a long time, perhaps what we're seeing is that it isn't the product that everybody on the planet is going to end up owning. It's probably saturating at 40 to 50% of the addressable market, but those people are not giving it up. Those enterprises are not moving to another type of product. It has the highest satisfaction ratings ever seen, and now we're hearing more and more about enterprise take-up. It is perhaps more of a niche than we thought, but a niche nevertheless at 40-50% of a very large addressable market. So it may not play against the iPhone well, but it does against the Mac.
Now, of course, the Apple TV set-top box, the new set-top box, is on sale now. He told me, Luca Maestri said they're very excited about it. They think they can change the experience, so we'll be watching that.